Welcome to the DragonLance Saga Gaming Advanced Dungeons & Dragons episode. This is the 8th episode in the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual series. It is KYRNOR Floor Green the 6th, and my name is Adam. Dragonlance came out of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, so I thought it'd be fun to read the core rules aloud and discuss them with a live audience. I would like to take a moment and thank the DL Saga YouTube members and Patreon patrons, and invite you to consider becoming a member or a patron. You can even grab Dragonlance Media or get $10 signing up to start playing .games using my affiliate links in the description below. Now, we left off at S. Sibilance. All right, so let's continue with S, shall we? Sahuagin. Sahuagin is definitely how you say that word. And let's see what it looks like, because it looks like it's going to stab itself in the thigh. Or the calf. Sahuagin are masochists. All right. The Sahuagin, sometimes referred to as sea devils or devil men of the deep, dwell in warm salt waters at depths of 100 to 1,500 feet. The legends about and history of these monsters will be dealt with later. Why the hell would you put them in here then? Sahuagin are predatory in the extreme, and they pose a constant threat to all living things because they kill for sport and pleasure, as well for food. These creatures abhor fresh waters. They dislike light and bright light, such as that created by a light spell. It's harmful to their eyes, as will be discussed hereafter. Sahuagin will venture ashore on dark, moonless nights to raid and plunder human villages. They hate evil. They hate even the evil Ixithixacchitl. Come on. And only sharks are befriended by them. How do you even say that? Ixithixacchitl? Ixithixacchitl? I can't even say it. The social structure of the Sahuagin is based upon rule by a king who holds court in a vast undersea city deep beneath the waves. The overlord's domain is divided into 9 provinces, each ruled by a prince. Do you think the reason why we don't see these in actual plays is because no one can pronounce them? That's like the only reason. The overlord's domain is divided into 9 provinces, each ruled by a prince. Each of these nobles controls the small groups of Sahuagin dwelling in his fief. This organization mirrors that of the plains of hell for the Sahuagin, are devil worshippers. Ooh. A band of Sahuagin will always be led by a chieftain. He will have 1 lieutenant for every 10 members of the group. The chieftain will have 4 hit dice plus 4 hit points, and his lieutenants will each have 3 hit dice plus 3 hit points. All are in addition to the group. If Sahuagin are encountered in their lair, there will be the following additional Sahuagin: 1 Baron, 6 hit dice plus 6 hit points, 9 guards, 3 hit dice plus 3 hit points, 30 to 120 females, 2 hit dice, 10 to 40 hatchlings, 1 hit dice, 20 to 80 eggs. Also, there is a 10% chance per 10 male Sahuagin that there will be a cleric, evil, and 1 to 4 assistant priestesses, for the religious life of these creatures is dominated by the females. If a cleric is with the group in the lair, she will be of 5th to 8th level ability, and her lesser clerics will be 3rd to 4th level. There are always 2 to 8 sharks with Sahuagin in their lair. Sahuagin, yeah, that's it, are able to make these monsters obey simple 1 or 2 word commands. Whenever a Sahuagin lair is encountered, there's a 5% chance that it will be the stronghold of a prince. The prince will have 8 hit die plus 8 hit points, 9 guards of chieftain strength, and there will be 1 to 8th level Sahuagin evil high priestesses and 4 4th level under clerics. The numbers of males, females, hatchlings, and eggs in a prince's lair is double the number rolled. There will be 4 to 24 sharks present at all times. Sahuagin lairs are actual villages or towns constructed of stone. The buildings are domed, and the seaweed and similar marine plants growing around and on these buildings make them hard to detect. Although these creatures do not wear armor, their scaly hides are tough and equal to armor class 5. Sahuagin wear a harness to carry the personal gear and weapons. A group of these creatures is typically armed as follows: spear and trident, 30%, trident, net, and dagger, 50%, heavy crossbow and dagger, 20%. Spears are used only as thrusting weapons. Nets are set with dozens of hooks, which make escape from one virtually impossible for unarmed victims or creatures not able to grasp and tear with a strength of 16 or greater. Nets are replaced by with 3 javelins. When the band forays onto land, the crossbows fire a maximum of 30 feet underwater, normally above water. Nets are used to entrap victims. Tridents have 3 uses: to spear small prey, to pin prey trapped in nets, and to hold threatening opponents at bay. Sahuagin are well equipped to attack even without weapons, for they have long, sharp claws on their webbed hands, which can inflict 1 to 2 points per attack, and they can use both simultaneously. Their powerful rear legs are likewise taloned, and if they kick an opponent with them, they inflict 1 to 4 hit points damage with each hit from either foot. The Sahuagin mouth is filled with teeth and fangs, and if one successfully bites an opponent, from 1 to 4 points of damage will be inflicted. Thus, it is possible for an unarmed Sahuagin to attack 3 or 5 times in a melee round, causing 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 4, and 1 to 4, 1 to 4 if the legs can rake. Jeez. The eyes and ears of these monsters are particularly keen. Sahuagin can see 30 inches underwater at 100-foot depth. It's odd to me that they are mixing feet and inches in the same place, because we know that the inches are a reference to yards outdoors times 10 and feet indoors times 10. So why not just do the feet reference? Anyway, for each 100 foot of greater depth, their vision is reduced 1 inch, i.e., at 500 they can see 26 inches, at 10,000 they can see 21 inches. Their ears are so sharp as to be able to detect the clinking of metal at 1 mile, or a boat oar splashing at the same distance. However, at 24 inches or less, their ears cannot detect the sound of swimming or similar noise, although the Sahuagin can still hear metallic or other clanks, clicks, thuds, etc. Sahuagin speak their own tongue, and some are evidently able to converse with the Ixit'achitil in their own language. Description: A typical Sahuagin is blackish green on the black shading to green on the belly. The fins are black. The great staring eyes are deep, shining black. About 1 in 216 Sahuagin is a mutation with 4 arms, which are completely usable. These specimens are usually black shading to gray. Females are indistinguishable from males, except that they are slightly smaller. Hatchlings are light-colored, but they darken and attain full growth approximately 1 to 2 months after hatching. History and legend. The Sahuagin are chronicled because of their evil, having time and again raided the land, desolating whole coasts and, of course, destroying passing ships continually. The exact origin of the Sahuagin is unknown. It is suggested that they were created from a nation of particularly evil humans by the most powerful of lawful evil gods in order to preserve them when the deluge came upon the earth. You know what? These would be like very Cthulhu-like, sort of half-fish men. The Tritons, however, are purported to have stated that Sahuagin are distantly related to the Sea Elves, claiming that the Drow spawned the Sahuagin. Thanks, Grey Gem. Few persons have survived capture by the Sahuagin, for prisoners are usually imprisoned, tortured, and eaten. Creatures taken alive are brought to the Sahuagin's lair and confined in cells. Although Sahuagin are able to stay out of water for up to 4 hours, there's no air in the confinement areas in the typical village. But in the towns of the nobles, there are special quarters to maintain air-breathing creatures. The Sahuagin will set aside a few prisoners to torture and provide sport, typically a fight to the death between 2 different creatures in an arena. The bulk of captives are simply killed and eaten. It is seldom that any prisoner escapes, although the Sahuagin find sport in allowing captives to think that they have found freedom, only to be encircled by sadistic guards while a school of sharks come for the kill. The Sahuagin are cruel and brutal. The strongest always bully the weak. Any injured, disabled, or infirm specimen will be slain and eaten by these cannibalistic monsters. Even imperfect hatchlings are dealt with in this fashion. This strict law has developed a strong race, however, and any leader is absolutely subject to challenge. Sahuagin never stop growing, although they grow slowly and death comes to most before many years allow growth to large size. Leaders are the largest and strongest. It is reported that the 9 princes of the Sahuagin are each of the 4-armed sort, as is the king. In any event, the loser of a challenge duel is always slain, in combat or afterwards. Duels are fought without weapons, only fang and claw being permitted. The king is supposed to inhabit a city somewhere in the greatest depth Sahuagin can exist. This place is supposedly built in an undersea canyon with palaces and dwellings built along either face. There, fully 5,000 of these monsters dwell, not counting the king's retinue of queens, concubines, nobles, guards, etc., said to number 1,000 or more. The king of the Sahuagin is reported as huge of size, 10 hit dice plus 10 hit points, and of greatest evil. He's always accompanied by 9 noble guards, 6 hit dice plus 6 hit points, and the evil high priestess of all Sahuagin with her train of 9 under clerics. Now I want to add these to Dragonlance so bad. Hey, Chris, thanks for tuning in live. Salamander is next. Now, I used to capture salamanders. I'd lived next to a field, and we'd get them every once in a while in Utah. They don't look like this at all. So maybe this is a different kind. Salamanders are creatures of the elemental plane of fire. Yep, they're different. They come to the material plane occasionally for purposes known only to them. Salamanders hate cold, preferably temperatures of 300 degrees upward, and they can abide lower temperatures only for a few hours. Their lair is typically at least 500 degrees temperature. And such treasure is found, there will be the sort to survive such heat. The human-like upper body of a salamander has an armor class of 5, while the lower body is armor class 3. A salamander typically attacks with a metal spear, which inflicts damage of 1 to 6 hit points, plus a like amount for its heat. At the same time, it can lash out and coil around an opponent with its snake-like tail, constricting for 2 to 12 hit points of damage, plus causing an additional 1 to 6 points of damage from the heat of its body. While fire-resistant creatures will not suffer heat damage, they will be subject to normal attack damage. Salamanders can be affected only by magical weaponry, or by creatures of a magical nature, or with great strength. They are impervious to all fire-based attacks. Sleep, charm, and hold spells are ineffective against them. Cold-based attacks cause an additional 1 point of damage per die of attack value. Description: the head and torso of the salamander is copper-colored with yellow glowing eyes. The lower body is an orange shade to dull red at the tail end. Hey, check out this. That ain't no oh, you can't see, my stupid head's in the way. It's a scorpion, a giant scorpion. Satyr is next, not a scorpion. Don't know why that picture was there. Satyrs, or fauns, inhabit only sylvan woodlands. They are interested primarily only in sport. Frolicking, piping, chasing wood nymphs, etc. Sounds like a great day to me. They resent intrusion, however, and will drive away any creature which offends them. They can sometimes be lured, bribed with superior wine, as can I. A satyr normally attacks by butting with its 2 sharp horns. They will occasionally 20% make use of magical weapons. It is quite likely that a satyr will first play a tune on his pipes, an instrument only a satyr can properly employ. By means of these pipes, the satyr can charm, sleep, or cause fear in all within a 6-inch hearing radius, unless they say versus magic. Only 1 satyr per band is likely to have pipes. If commonly females are in the group, the piping will be to charm. If the intruder is relatively inoffensive, the piping will be to sleep, and choice items will be stolen from the sleeper. But if the party is powerful, the piping will be to cause fear. Any creature which saves versus any form of piping is not affected by additional music from the same pipes. Satyrs are very silent and have keen senses. They are surprised only on a 1, and they can blend with foliage so as to be 90% undetectable to creatures not able to see hidden or invisible things. These creatures have their own tongue and are also able to speak Elvish, understandable only to Sylvan elves, and the common speech. Satyrs dwelling near centaurs are 80% likely to be friendly with the latter, cooperating with them and speaking their language. Description: the skin of the upper body of a satyr is tan to light brown. Its hair being medium brown, reddish brown, or dark brown. Horns and hooves are black. I don't think I showed you guys the satyr. I always think of Fantasia when I think of satyrs. That or Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. All right, now we're getting to the scorpion giant. Giant scorpions are vicious predators, which are likely to be found even in relatively cold places, such as dungeons, due to the adaptability of these mutations. They're likely to attack any creature which approaches. The monster seeks to grab prey with its huge pincers, while its segmented tail lashes forward to sting its victim to death with poison. This latter attack inflicts 1 to 4 points of damage per hit, and if a poison saving throw fails, the victim dies immediately. The giant scorpion can fight up to 3 opponents at once. Note that the scorpion's poison kills it if it accidentally stings itself. Creatures killed are dragged to the scorpion's lair to be eaten. The scorpion's own poison kills itself? That's a useless... Sea hag! Oh, look at that beautiful woman. Sea hags inhabit thickly vegetated shallows in warm seas. A very rare variety dwells in fresh water. They're reclusive and hate beauty, so their lairs are likely to be in very dismal, ugly places. The sea hag is so ghastly looking as to make a creature weak from fright, unless a saving throw versus magic is successful. The creature loses 1/2 of its strength for 1 to 6 turns. Holy crap. Worse still, the hag is able to cast a deadly glance up to 3 inches. That's 30 yards outside. And this look will kill any creature which fails its saving throw versus poison. What? The look will kill the creature. Wow. A sea hag can employ this weapon but 3 times per day. Any victim of a sea hag is quickly devoured by the horrid victor. That's brutal. All right, next up is the seahorse. There's not a picture for it. Seahorse giant. Giant seahorses are herbivores, marine creatures found in all but the coldest of waters. They're naturally shy and avoid contact. They can, however, be trained to serve as steeds. In combat, the seahorse delivers a butt with its head. Size varies, the most common sort of seahorse being 2 hit dice, 30% are 3, and 10% are 4 hit dice in size. Occasionally, aquatic elves and Locatha will capture and train seahorses. You know, they say seahorses are the ones that take care of the young, the babies, are males. How do you know? How do you know? Their wieners hanging out? All right, here's a sea lion. Roar. Sea lions are fearsome carnivores which inhabit coastal marine waters. They hunt in packs and emit loud, bellowing roars even underwater. Their maned heads are armor class 5, but their thick scales make the remainder of their body armor class 3. As they often drag prey into the lair, there is sometimes a residue of valuable items there. They attack with their clawed forelimbs and their jaws. Young sea lions can be tamed and trained for use in guarding and hunting. All right. No one told me I had the wrong letter showing up. All right, next up is shadow. You want to see the picture of the shadow? That's right. You can't see it because it's a shadow. These horrible undead creatures are found amidst ancient ruins or deep beneath the ground, as they exist primarily on the negative material plane. They drain strength by merely touching an opponent. They attack living things without hesitation in order to gain the life force of their prey. In addition to the 2 to 5 hit points of damage their chill touch causes, each hit also saps 1 point of the victim's strength. If a human opponent reaches 0 strength or hit points, the shadow drains his life force and he becomes a shadow. Note that strength returns to a creature 2 to 8 turns after being touched. Turns are like 10 minutes. Shadows are not affected by sleep, charm, or hold spells. They're not subject to cold-based attacks. Shadows are 90% undetectable, so as they appear to be nothing more than their name. If bright light is cast, such as from a continual light spell, they can be clearly seen. Okay. Next up, the Shambling Mound. Shambling mounds, or shamblers, are found in dismal marshes or certain wet subterranean places. They are omnivores, feeding upon any living material via the weird roots and tendrils. They attack fearlessly, clubbing with the limbs twice per melee round. If both of a shambler's clubbing attacks hit a single opponent, the victim is entangled and will be suffocated in the creature's slime in 2 to 8 melee rounds unless the creature is killed. The brain of the shambler is located in its mid portion, and its thick fibrous layers make it difficult to penetrate to its only vital area. In fact, most hits upon it do but little damage, thus armor class 0. As it is wet and slimy, fire has no effect. Lightning causes it to grow, add 1 hit die, and cold does either 1/2 or no damage due to its vegetable constitution. All weapons score only 1/2 damage. It can flatten itself so that crushing has small effect. Spells will affect plants are effective against shambling mounds, plant control and charm plant being good examples. Description. Appearing as a heap of rotting vegetation, the shambler is actually an intelligent form of vegetable life. It is generally from 6 to 9 feet in height, with a girth of 6 inches at its base, 6 feet at its base, and 2 feet at its summit. Shark. Sharks of all sorts roam the oceans and seas, constantly in motion and seeking food to satisfy their voracious appetites. The shark is a killing machine, attacking any recognizable food source at any time. Sharks are attracted by noise, pressure changes from a mile or more, and they can smell blood from at least the same distance. Any creature which appears hurt is 90% likely to be attacked. A wounded creature will always be attacked, and this will cause all sharks nearby to go into a frenzy, where they will attack anything that remotely resembles food. They seize prey, tearing off a mouthful if it is not bite-sized, and swim away to swallow it, only to return again for more. Sharks are particularly vulnerable to ramming attacks, such as dolphins deliver, for they rupture internal organs which allow the creatures to swim. Similarly, a motionless shark dies in 2 to 5 melee rounds. Giant shark, Megalodon. Giant white sharks and prehistoric species of sharks range in size from 20 feet to 50 feet. Jeez. The largest being the prehistoric sharks. The only difference between these monsters and their smaller kin is the former's ability to swallow large objects whole, commensurate with the other factors which large size gives them. A creature swallowed whole has 6 melee rounds to free itself by attack. If it cuts its way out, reduces the shark to 0 hit points. Within this time, it will not be dead. It's actually missing a period here. Each attack from inside is a cumulative -1 per round with regard to damage. Thus, attacks on the first round cause damage -1. Those on the second cause damage -2, etc. These look dope. The Shidu. Shidu travel about the world seeking to further the ends of lawful good, helping allied creatures when in need. Although Shidu can attack with their powerful front hooves, they are more likely to use their psionic abilities, 3 major and 5 minor disciplines. All such abilities are performed at 9th level of mastery. Shidu can become ethereal at will, and they frequently travel the astral and ethereal planes. Shidu have their own language and know most human tongues. As they have a limited form of telepathy, Shidu generally communicate by direct mind contact. These are fun. I've run across these. Shriekers. Shriekers are normally quiet, mindless fungus, which are ambulatory. They live in dark places beneath the ground. Light within 30 feet or movement within 10 feet will cause them to emit a piercing shriek, which lasts for 1 to 3 melee rounds. This will cause them this noise has a 50% chance of attracting wandering monsters each round thereafter. Purple worms and shambling mounds greatly prize Shrieker as food. That's wild. So yeah, this is a great monster. B1 Into the Unknown or something like that. Has a bunch of Shriekers in it. Great for adding to the danger of dungeon crawling. I mean, dungeon crawling itself is inherently dangerous, but when you have things making noise other than you, which you're always trying to be quiet so you don't alert people in the next room or the wandering hallways or something, Shriekers do that for you just because you're nearby. And it's just brutal. All right, next up, gotta love them, the Skeleton. Skeletons are magically animated undead monsters. They are enchanted by a powerful magic user or a cleric of evil alignment. The skeleton performs according to the command of their animator, the command being limited in scope to but a dozen or 2 words. They're found only in burial places or dungeons and similar forsaken places. The skeleton strikes with some form of weapon, but regardless of the weapon type, the damage caused by a hit will be 1 to 6 hit points. Skeletons suffer only 1/2 damage from sharp and or edged weapons, such as spears, daggers, swords. Blunt weapons, such as clubs, maces, flails, etc., score normal damage. Fire scores normal damage. Sleep, charm, hold, and cold-based spells do not affect skeletons. Holy water causes 2d8 hit points of damage on a skeleton for each vial which it strikes it. Skeletons attack until destroyed. Skunk, giant. Giant skunks are forest-dwelling omnivores, not averse to raiding human camps for a bit of food. They will react to any serious... I just keep seeing Pepe Le Pew. I just can't not think of a giant Pepe Le Pew fighting like a village. They will react to any serious threat by backing towards an opponent, and if the creature does not quickly get beyond 6 inches, the skunk will loose a spray of vile musk quickly in a cloud 2 inches wide by 2 inches high by 6 inches long. If the opponent fails to save versus poison, it will be blinded for 1 to 8 hours. And in any event, the musk will cause the creature to retreat a full move and lose 50% of both strength and dexterity due to nausea for 2 to 8 turns. Furthermore, any creature touched by the skunk's musk will have a disgusting stench. Other creatures will shun it. All clothing material will rot and become useless, including magical garb which fails its saving throw. Wow! Creatures in non-cloth garments and equipment must be washed and aired for several days to be completely free of the stench. Jeez, no one has, like, tomatoes? Slithering Tracker. This monster is transparent and almost impossible to discover. 5% chance of spotting. It inhabits dungeons. That's really like 1 to 5 on a D100 die roll is what you have to find to track it, to spot it. It inhabits dungeons and other dark places and does not normally attack its prey immediately. 10% chance of immediate attack. The tracker usually follows the chosen victim to the place where the victim sleeps, and only when its prey is asleep will it strike. Because of its semi-fluid body, the slithering tracker can flow through openings as small as a rat hole or a large crack under a door. Attack is by contact with the exposed flesh of its prey, and the secretions of the monster will paralyze the victim unless a saving throw versus paralyzation is made. Once the victim is immobilized, the tracker will draw all the plasma from the body of its prey in 6 turns. Wow. Just suck out all your life in an hour. Oh, this is a great one. DL2, Dragons of Fire, in the Slaamori, the Giant Slug. Seriously tough opponent, like genuinely. Giant slugs dwell away from light, preferring the depths of dungeons and similar places. Giant slugs are able to eat substances like wood or burrow through very hard earth using the rasp-like tongues. Although they are a great bulk, giant slugs are able to squeeze through very narrow or low openings, for they have no bones to prohibit such alteration of shape. Although able to bite with effect, the major weapon of these creatures is a highly corrosive acid saliva, which they are able to spit with considerable accuracy at great distances. Normal range is 6 inches with a basic 50% chance of striking their target. For every 1 inch the range is lessened, the base chance of hitting is increased by 10%. Ranges over 6 inches decrease the probability of hitting by 10%. Fortunately, the giant slug is always inaccurate on its first attack, and there's only a 10% chance of it hitting its target on the first spitting of acid. Once the range is then determined, second and following attacks are at normal probabilities. That is a 50-50 chance of hitting you. That's brutal. And then just corroding your gear and your magic weapons if they don't make their save. That's brutal. As they are of a great size, the creature can sometimes be caught in a narrow corridor where they are unable to turn, and if they are then attacked from behind, they can often be slain without loss to the attackers. Because of their size and structure, these beasts are not affected by blunt weapons, so they must be attacked by sharp-edged ones or magically. They have thick, rubbery hides, and their tremendous power allows them to break down doors with ease. Description: giant slugs are pale gray. Their underbelly is dead white. Snake. Giant. Giant snakes are likely to be found in any clime, save the coldest. All are carnivorous. Oh, geez. Amphisbaena. These monsters have heads at both ends, and both heads are armed with poisonous fangs. The creature travels by grasping one of its necks. what? By grasping one of its necks and rolling like a hoop. It is able to attack with both heads, and victims failing to save versus poison when bitten die instantly. Cold-based attacks do not harm the amphisbaenia. Constrictor. These snakes usually drop coils from above, grab prey with their coils, deliver a bite, and then constrict, causing 2 to 8 points of damage per melee round. If several strong creatures, such as 4 humans or 16 or greater strength, can grasp the creature at the head and tail ends, they can uncoil it in 2 to 5 melee rounds. After eating, the snake sleeps for a period of several days. Poisonous. Giant poisonous snakes need no lengthy explanation or description. Some varieties, however, are worth noting, as their poison is so strong that even if a saving throw is made, the victim takes up to 3 to 18 hit points damage. That's brutal. This is awesome. Check this out. C. Found only in tropical waters, these marine creatures attack only when hungry, 20% chance. They otherwise ignore other creatures unless molested. Sea snakes have a poisonous bite. The largest are able to coil about small vessels and crush them at a rate of 10% of total value per melee round of constriction. That is huge! Spitting. The spitting giant snake is a variety of the poisonous type, which can emit a poisonous spittle, spraying it up to gleeking snakes, spraying it up to 3 inches at any single creature. The victim must save versus poison. Naturally, the bite of these snakes is likewise poisonous. Giant spitting cobras are a typical example of the monster. Gotta love the specters. They're so terrifying. Specters are very powerful undead humans whose primary existence is on the negative material plane. Specters haunt the most desolate of places, tombs, and dungeons. They hate sunlight and living things. Daylight makes them powerless. Life makes them lament their unlife. A specter's chilling touch causes 1 to 8 hit points of damage and drains 2 energy levels from an opponent, the latter due to the negative force of the specter. Thus, an 11th level character, or an 11 hit dice creature, struck by a specter would suffer 1 to 8 hit points of damage plus loss in level ability, hit dice, etc. Such loss is permanent, but characters can regain lost levels through continued acquisition of experience points, of course. Certain magic might restore lost levels as well. Specters are not affected by sleep, charm, hold, or cold-based spells. Poison or paralyzation do not harm specters. Holy water causes a specter to suffer 2 to 8 hit points of damage for every vial full which hits it. A raise dead spell will destroy a specter unless it makes its saving throw versus magic. Any human totally drained of life energy by a specter becomes a half-strength specter under the control of the specter which drained him. Specters are brutal, like genuinely way overpowered. All right, next up is the Sphinx. Call me biased. I prefer the Sphinxes with, boobs. I'm weird like that. Sphinxes inhabit only warm climes. They are dissimilar with regard to species characteristics. Androu. The male, or Androu, Sphinx is a very powerful and large creature. An Androu Sphinx attacks with its 2 great paws in melee. It has the ability to use clerical spells as if it were a 6th-level human cleric. They usually shun the company of gynosphinxes, for they resent the females' greater intelligence and neutral alignment. So the Androu Sphinxes are the incels. These creatures can speak all languages particular to sphinxes and the common tongue of mankind as well. Thrice per day, an Androu Sphinx can emit a deafening roar, which can be heard for several miles. The creature must be aroused and angry to utter the first, very angry to roar again, and infuriated to cut loose with a third. The first roar of an Androu Sphinx causes all creature within 36 inches, that's huge, to save versus fear as a wand, or flee in panic for 3 turns. The second roar is louder still. Creatures within 20 inches must save versus petrification, or be paralyzed with fright, for 1 to 4 melee rounds. And in addition, creatures within 3 inches of the Androu Sphinx will be deafened for 2 to 12 melee rounds unless they are ogre-sized or larger or have protective hearing organs. The third roar causes creatures within 24 inches to save versus magic or lose 2 to 8 hit points of strength for a like number of melee rounds. And in addition, any creature within a 3-inch hemisphere of the Androu Sphinx's mouth will be knocked over unless the creature is ogre-sized or larger. Creatures knocked over must save versus Dragon Breath or be stunned for 2 to 12 melee rounds. Creatures not knocked over will take 2 to 16 hit points of damage unless they are lion or part lion. The force of the third roar will also affect stone within 3 inches, cracking it unless a saving throw versus petrification is made. The Cryosphinx, we got the ram there. The Cryosphinx is a ram-headed creature which is likely to be found in wooded areas. These creatures prize wealth and will usually seek to extort passersby, save passage for a hefty bribe. In combat, they attack with either their 2 forepaws or a great butt with their horned head. The Cryosphinx lusts after Gynosphinxes, but the latter find them detestable. They speak their own tongue, that of Androu Gynosphinxes, and can also speak with animals. All right. The Gyno. Gynosphinxes is the female counterpart of the Androsphinx. They are both knowledgeable and wise, and they are neutral and prize gems and similar wealth. They will only help humans if they are paid, although they will sometimes accept payment in the form of riddles, poetry, prose, knowledge, or the location of an Androsphinx. If payment is not made, the Sphinx will not hesitate to devour the offenders. The Gynosphinx is able to use the following spells once per day: detect magic, read languages, detect invisible, locate object, dispel magic, clairaudience, clairvoyance, remove curse, legend lore. They can use each of the symbols once per week each. Gynosphinxes speak all the languages known to the male of their kind. This is just creepy. Hello? Hirako. The hawk-headed or Hirako Sphinx is evil and rapacious. They're found in hilly regions. They prey on warm-blooded creatures by preference, humans being high on the list of favorite meals. They attack with forepaws and break each melee round like other types of their race. They highly value treasure. It is not unknown for Hirako Sphinxes to serve as steeds for certain evil and powerful creatures. That's a flex. Jeez. Spider. Spiders are found in all regions except those which are frigid, and legends tell of giant fur-clad white spiders inhabiting polar climes. All spiders are aggressive predators. Even if not hungry, they will attack creatures which disturb their web. They dwell both above and below ground. Giant spider, these monsters are web builders. They will construct their sticky traps horizontally or vertically so as to entrap any creature which touches the web. Some will lurk above a path in order to drop upon its prey. The web is as tough and clinging as a web spell. Any creature with 18 or greater strength can break free in 1 melee round. A 17th strength requires 2 melee rounds, etc. Webs are quite inflammable. The bite of a giant spider is poisonous. A victim must save versus poison or be killed. A giant spider will flee from an encounter with a superior foe, typically hiding in some secret spot for safety. Huge spider. The typical huge spider is not a web builder, but a roving hunter, such as a wolf spider. It can leap 3 inches upon prey and deliver its deadly bite. Others of this ilk build carefully hidden places of concealment and rush forth upon prey, i.e. trapdoor spiders or of huge size. All saving throws versus the poison of huge spiders are at +1 on the die. Note that these creatures surprise prey on a roll of 1 to 5 out of 6. That's insane. That is just crazy. Large spider. These creatures scuttle and scurry about on walls, ceilings, and floors in and out of their web, always searching for victims. They're 90% likely to attack any creature within 3 inches. Their poison is relatively weak in most cases, so saving throws are at a +2. Yeah, relatively weak. You get a +2 to save, but if you fail, you die. Like, that's it. So I wouldn't call that weak. Phase spider. Although these monsters appear to be nothing more than very great spiders, they are something quite beyond this. When attacking or being attacked, the phase spider is able to shift out of phase with its surroundings, bringing itself back only when it's ready to deliver its poisonous bite. Victims must save at -2 on their poison saving throw. When out of phase, they are impervious to nearly all forms of attack, although a phase door spell will cause one to remain in phase for 7 melee rounds. Oil of Etherealness and Armor of Etherealness also put their wearers into the same phase as the monsters when it shifts out of phase. Their webs are equal to those of giant spiders. Phase spiders will seek to evade encounters which are unfavorable. Spiders freak me out. There's no real reason for it, just the ick factor. But yeah, They definitely got the ick factor in me. Water giant spider. Fresh water dwellers, giant water spiders, are found only in large lakes. They build great nests for air amidst underwater vegetation. These spiders are able to run along the bottom or up and down vegetable or mineral surfaces underwater. They snatch passing prey, deliver a poisonous bite, and bring the victim to their lair to be drained at leisure. The clever airlock allows free passage without loss of vital air. On occasions, such water creatures as nixies will be on friendly terms with giant water spiders, for they are semi-intelligent and can be approached with offerings of food. Abandoned water spider lairs are excellent places for refuge for air breathers. A rare species of water spider, twice its size of those discussed here, are found in salt water. Ooh. All right, here is the awesome spider picture. So, someone said there's supposed to be spiders around here. Where do you think they are? Awesome. Love it. Sprite! Sprites dwell in meadows and wooded glens. They are very shy and reclusive, but they hate evil and ugliness of all sorts. They are armed with slim swords equal to daggers and small bows with but half the range and effect of a short bow. However, their arrows are coated with a special ointment, which causes any creature struck to save versus poison or sleep for 1 to 6 hours in a comatose state. The sprites will then slay evil creatures or remove good ones to a place far from where they encountered their sprites. Note that sprites are 75% likely to be unnoticed by any creature, and they will attack only evil creatures unless molested first. Sprites are able to become invisible at will, detect good evil at a range of 5 inches, and move silently. When invisible, they can cause opponents to strike with a -4 on 2-hit die. Everyone! That's everyone! If something is invisible, you have a -4 to hit. That's not special to sprites. That's everything. Sprites speak their own language and the common tongue. Squid. Giant. Giant squid inhabit deep waters, preferring depths of 1/2 mile or more. They are aggressive hunters, and they will occasionally surface to attack large prey. 10% chance to attack a ship passing over a giant squid. They fear only the hugest of sperm whales, for the latter hunt giant squids and kill them with ease. A giant squid's body is protected by a hard shell, so its armor class is 3, but its tentacles and head are but armor class 7. The creatures can jet backwards at great speed if it feels threatened. When a giant squid attacks, it will anchor itself or stabilize itself with 2 of its arms and attack with the other 8. Jeez. Each tentacle does 1 to 6 points on the first melee hit round it hits, and thereafter it constricts the opponent for 2 to 12 points of damage per melee round. To prevent this, the victim must sever the tentacle. There is no way to loosen its grasp short of severing the member or killing the squid. The great beak of a giant squid bites for 5 to 20 hit points of damage. The creature grabbed by a giant squid is 25% likely to have both upper members pinned, 50% likely to have one pinned, and 25% likely to have both free. If both upper members are pinned, the victim is totally unable to attack with them. If one is held, the victim will attack at -3, and if both upper members are free, the squid's opponent attacks at only -1 on the 2-hit dice rolls. Only one tentacle will strike creatures of man size at any one time. A squid's tentacle takes 10 hit points damage before being severed, and this is in addition to the 12 dice of damage a giant squid can take. If 4 or more of a giant squid's arms are severed or otherwise lost, the monster is 80% likely to squirt out a cloud of black ink 6 inches high by 8 inches long and jet backwards to escape. The squid will always go to its lair in this case. The ink cloud completely obscures the vision of all within it. The giant squid always seeks to drag its prey underwater. A ship seized by a giant squid will not likely be dragged under unless the vessel is small, but it will stop dead in the water in one turn due to the drag. If a ship is grabbed and held by 8 or more tentacles, it will take damage as if rammed, and ships with water in their holes are easily dragged down to squids' lairs. Stag. Stags are herbivores found in temperate forests and meadowlands. They are the aggressive males of a herd which numbers 4 to 8 times the number of stags encountered. These creatures will defend the herd against all but the most fearsome opponents. A stag can attack with its branching antlers or by lashing out with its sharp forehooves. Giant stag. These creatures are simply simply very large stags. They otherwise conform to the general characteristics of stags. A typical giant stag is 7 feet tall at the shoulder and weighs over 1,500 pounds. These things are just creepy. Just creepy. Sturge. Look at that face. Eesh. Sturges are found only in very dark, tangled forests or in subterranean lairs. They lay in wait for warm-blooded creatures, swoop down, and when the long, sharp proboscis is attached, the blood of the victim is drawn through to be eaten. Sturges attack as if they were creatures with 4 hit dice rather than 1+1. The proboscis of a sturge inflicts 1 to 3 hit points of damage when it hits, each melee round after striking until it has drained 12 hit points value in blood. The sturge drains blood equal to 1 to 4 hit points. Bloated with blood, a sturge draining 12 hit points worth will flap off to digest its repast. The only method to detach a sturge from its prey is to kill it. Description: the feathers of a sturge are rusty red to red-brown. Its eyes and feet are yellowish. The dangling proboscis of its sturge is pink at the tip, fading to gray at the base. Super creepy. Strangleweed. Strangleweed is an intelligent kelp found in relatively warm seawater. A bed of this carnivorous plant is indistinguishable from normal seaweed. The plant grows in an oval with 3 to 12 fronds in a patch of 3 to 12 square feet. The fronds vary from 7 feet to 12 feet long, and any creature within grasp of one or more fronds will be attacked. A hit by the strangleweed indicates the victim is entwined by the attacking frond. Each frond has a strength of 4 to 16 points. A victim compares its strength against the frond or fronds which have intertwined it. The difference in the victim's favor is the chance of escaping, i.e., 1 equals 10%, 2 is 20%, etc. A negative difference, a balance in favor of the weed, indicates the victim has taken that number of points of crushing damage, i.e., a victim strength of 18 compared to that 3 frond holding it, 30, so the strangleweed inflicts 12 points of damage on their prey. Any creature entwined strikes at -2 on its 2-hit rolls. Treasure is found beneath the sand of a bed of the strangleweed left by former victims. That's pretty creepy. The Sioux monster. Sioux monsters inhabit forsaken wilderness areas and subterranean lairs as well. They have prehensile tails, which they use to swing from limb to limb or hang upside down. From such a position, they can attack with all 4 of their clawed feet as well as their jaws. All 4 feet are prehensile and armed with long and extremely sharp nails as well. Sioux monsters are at home upright or hanging upside down, the latter being one of their favorite methods of lurking for prey. If more than 4 are encountered, it is likely 50% that the group will be a male, female, and young, determined growth state by rolling a 20-sided die for maturity, using 10% increment and treating 10% as 20% and 100% as 30%. The female will fight at double value for 6 turns if the young are attacked, and the male will fight at double value for 4 turns if the female is attacked. Sioux monsters have a latent psionic ability which enables them to deliver some form of psionic attack once per day if psionic activity is being used within 12 inches of them. Determine attack form by rolling a d6. 1 to 2 is Psychic Crush, 2 to 4 is Psionic Blast, 5 to 6 is Mind Thrust. Psionic Defense is not necessary as the Sioux monster is not itself subject to psionic attack. Well, that's shitty. Description: the fur of a Sioux monster is dirty gray. The creature's tail and face are black. Its paws are blood red. Sylph. Sylphs are very beautiful creatures, similar to nymphs. The sylph, however, dwell primarily in aerial places. They're fond of flitting about, and it is not likely that they will be encountered near the place where they dwell. Sylphs, sometimes 20%, befriend creatures of good alignment, aiding them in some way. A sylph has magical ability of 7th level, 4 first level spells, 3 second, 2 third, and 1 fourth once per day, in addition to the abilities of invisibility at will and conjuring an air elemental once per week. Sylphs speak their own and common language. And of course, we have that great image of the warrior being drained by the sturge. What do you think the sturges sound like when they're flapping toward you? I imagine it's something like, just super creep. All right, that's the end of S. We are now on T. Thought Eater. This guy's funny looking. Thought Eaters are dwellers in the ether. Their senses, however, extend into the physical plane, and any psionic or psionic-related energy used in either area will attract their attention. Range of ability or magic equals attraction range. The Thought Eater appears to be something like a sickly gray, skeletal-bodied, enormous-headed platypus to those who are able to observe it. Its webbed paws allow it to swim through the ether. It can be attacked only by ethereal creatures. Its only desire is to feed on the mental energy of prey it is attracted to, and if it comes within 6 inches of any creature in the ethereal or physical planes, it will be able to absorb any psychic or spell energy they attempt to use. At a range of 1 inch, the Thought Eater is able to begin feeding on the actual thoughts of even non-psionic creatures. Each Thought Eater is able to consume from 101 to 200 psychic energy points before becoming sated. Convert magical energy to psionic points on a basis of 5 points per spell level, and actual thought consumption converts to 1 intelligent point, equaling 10 psionic energy points. Note that if it feeds on thought, the creature loses intelligence permanently. That's brutal. At intelligence 0, the creature is dead. 1 equals mindlessness, 2 idiocy, 3 imbecility, and an intelligence of 4 is equivalent to a low-grade moron. Mental defenses, including a mind blank spell and magical devices against psionic and psionic-related powers, thwart attacks of these horrid things. Tick. Giant. Giant ticks are found in forests and occasionally in caves or caverns as well. These insects seek to drop upon prey, insert their hollow mouth tube, and suck blood from the victim. A hit by a giant tick scores 1 to 4 points of damage and indicates the monster has attached itself. Each melee round thereafter, it will drain 1 to 6 hit points of blood until reaching satiation at a blood drain equal to its hit points when it drops off. A giant tick must be killed, severely burned, or immersed in water to detach it prior to satiation. Any creature bitten has a 50% chance of contracting a fatal disease from the tick. The disease will be fatal in 2 to 8 days unless a cure disease spell is cast upon the victim. Tiger. Tigers range from subarctic to tropical areas, for they are highly adaptable and superb hunters. They often hunt in pairs or family groups. They climb well, can leap 10 feet upwards and 30 feet to 50 feet ahead and attack. If encountered in their lair, there's a 25% chance there will be 1 to 3 cubs there. These young have no effective attacks and are from 30 to 60% mature. When they score 2 forepaw hits in 1 melee round, tigers also get 2 additional rear claw attacks, each at 2 to 8 hit points damage that round. Saber-toothed tiger. The most aggressive and fearsome predator of the Pleistocene epoch, these giants are seldom encountered elsewhere. They range only in warm sections, but otherwise conform to the characteristics of normal tigers. Their 6-inch long fangs inflict terrible wounds, and the size of these teeth, along with the power of the saber-toothed tiger's jaws, give the creature a +2 on to-hit dice. What's the size of them? It's the same size as the tiger. Large. I think they should be bigger. All right. Titan. Look at him in contrast to the little man standing at his foot. Titans normally dwell on a plane somewhere above the material, but occasionally they will visit the latter plane for various periods of time. Those dwelling on the prime material plane for an extended period will acquire treasure as indicated above. To determine the armor class and hit dice of any given Titan, simply roll a 6-sided die, 1, armor class 2, and 17 hit dice, 2, 1 and 18, 3, 0 and 19, 4, -1 and 20, 5, -2 and 21, and 6, -3 and 22. Titans with only 17 or 18 hit dice move at 21 inches. Those with 21 or 22 hit dice do 8 to 48 hit points of damage per attack. Titans can become invisible at will. They can also levitate and or become ethereal twice per day. All Titans are able to employ both magic user and cleric spells of 4th, 5th, 6th, or even 7th level. To determine how many levels of spell use in each category to give a Titan, simply roll a 4-sided die and add the result to 3. For each level of spell use, the Titan can use 2 spells of each category, so the minimum number of magical spells possible for any Titan is 8. And the same applies to clerical spells, 2 of 1st level, 2 of 2nd level, 2 of 3rd level, and 2 of 4th level. If specific Titans are not prepared, simply determine which spells are known by any given Titan at any time of encounter by random selection from the spell tables. The protection from evil spell of Titans is of twice normal strength with respect to lawful evil beings. All Titans possess 8 or more psionic abilities of the type possible for clerics. Roll 2 6-sided dice and add the resulting number to a base of 6 to determine the total number of abilities. Ignore the ability of levitation. To determine psychic strength, add the score rolled on percentile dice to a base of 100. They use all abilities at 7th mastery level. Psionic attacks have no effect on Titans. In addition to their own language, Titans are able to speak the 6 dialects of the races of giants. All Titans are also conversant in the common tongue as well as that of chaotic good. Because of their particular predisposition, Titans deal with storm giants on highly amicable terms. It is 20% probable that a storm giant will be with any single Titan encountered. Description: Titans appear very much as humans do, but they are all very muscular, handsome, and wear no facial hair. Their dress and armor appears Grecian. Titanothere. These huge and fearless plant eaters roam the temperate plains of the Pleistocene era in herds. If more than 6 are encountered, 1 to 4 of those, numbering over 1/2 of the possible total, will be young, from 10% to 80% grown. If any creature threatens the herd, the larger animal males will charge. If the charge strikes home, damage inflicted is double the amount shown on the dice, 4 to 32. Titanotheres will trample 2 to 12 per foot at an opponent low enough for them to step upon. They are large, 8 feet in height. Toad giant. Giant toads are found in most regions, although their smaller cousins are beneficial insect eaters. The larger toads are prone to devour any creature which appears edible. All toads are capable of chopping their movement distance. The hell does that mean? This hop clears objects up to 1/3 the linear distance in height, and it requires but a single melee round to accomplish, and they can attack in mid-air or at the end of their leap. Ice toad. These creatures are found in cold climes or far beneath the surface of the ground. In addition to their typical abilities, these monsters are able to radiate cold on a 1-inch radius from their body. All non-cold using creatures within 1 inch of the ice toad suffer 3 to 18 points of damage. The toad can do this but once every other melee round. The ice toads have their own weird language. Poisonous toad. The poisonous type of giant toad is indistinguishable from non-poisonous toads. Their bite necessitates a saving throw versus poison, or the victim will die immediately. These are fun. Trappers. Trappers are clever monsters found only in caves, caverns, and other dark places. They prefer a subterranean habitation to all others. They shape their flat bodies to contort to the floor surface of their abode. Being of a consistency almost as hard as stone, trappers are nearly impossible to detect, 95% by any normal means. Usually a trapper will wait until its prey is near its center, when it often creates a protuberance, which resembles a chest or box, and then suddenly closes itself upon the unsuspecting victims. The trapper then crushes them during a base damage of 4 plus the armor class of the victim per turn of crushing. Those entrapped are unable to use weapons, for the great musculature of the trapper prevents it. Prey will be smothered in 6 melee rounds regardless of the damage sustained. It must be killed or faced with certain death to make it free its prey. Its treasure is kept beneath it. Trappers are resistant to fire and cold, half or no damage. Trappers are amorphous in form, so they are able to shape themselves in the form of the floors or the places they choose to await prey. A typical trapper is able to cover an area of up to 400 square feet, and giant specimens can cover as much as 600 square feet. The trapper also has advantage of being able to alter its coloration to blend with the color of the floor or ground upon which it rests. All right. I think we're going to end there with the trapper. That is it for this episode of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual reading. What do you think of the monsters covered in S&T thus far? Do you have any favorite monsters in this collection? Feel free to email me at info@dlsaga.com or leave a comment below. I would like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. This all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. Thank you to creator patrons Aaron Hardy, D. Robert Handy, and ShakyManor, developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz, and all of the YouTube members. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of the Dragonlance Saga, and I hope you'll join me in the celebration. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with Dragonlance Saga, and until next time, Sláinte mhath.